So today I am going to talk about a bit of a sticky subject, hide glue, also known as animal glue. So I've been getting a lot of questions from people, why do I use this old-fashioned glue when all these modern glues have come out that are stronger, more modern, and you know, like these amazing synthetic glues. So listen in and I will tell you all about the history of hide glue, how it is made, how I use it, and why I use it and why I think it's better than some synthetic glues. So first of all, what is hide glue? How's it made? It really is what it says. It's called hide glue or animal glue. And yes, it is made from animals. The glue is what actually holds the animal together, or even holds us together. So basically it's mostly collagen. It's made by boiling up and mixing, I think they mix in something else, a lot of the waste, like a lot of the things from animal, like hide, hoofs, teeth, and all that kind of stuff. I know it sounds delightful, and vegans, I'm really sorry, this is a little bit of a horror story for you, but I like the fact that all parts of the animal are being used and not being wasted. So it's basically boiled up, I think it's put together with maybe lime or something like that, and boiled up, and until mostly the collagen is extracted from the animal. And now I'm going to stop talking about the gross stuff. So once they've done that, they basically just spread it out and dry it out into little pellets and things like that. It pretty much comes in this little pellet form. Oops, this one is getting a little bit empty. I have to refill it. But they kind of look like this. And basically, when I get them like that, I will put them in a jar, then I'll add some cold water and let it sit for a while. And it sort of turns gelatinous, because it is gelatin or collagen. And then I heat it up. I heat it up to about 60 degrees Celsius, 60, 70 degrees Celsius. As far as I know, the ideal gluing temperature is around 60 degrees Celsius. And then I literally apply the glue hot, and I have to basically clamp the surfaces while the glue is still hot. If you wait too long and the glue cools down, it starts becoming slippery and you know, like jelly. Which, you know, jelly, believe it or not, is also made from collagen. And so it's actually apparently quite good for you. Not the sugar bit, but the collagen and gelatin bit. But anyway, I'm not going to start eating my hide glue. So the hide glue I use is made from rabbits. Rabbits are a huge pest in Australia, so we're doing everyone a favour. I don't think my hide glue is actually made in Australia. I, believe it or not, order it in from Germany, even though we have so many rabbits. So that's how hide glue is made, and I basically apply it hot. But hide glue actually goes back a really long way. They have found records of hide glue being used by the ancient Egyptians more than 3,000 years ago. And they've also found residue of glue in some of the old tombs and things like that. So they also there's not clear records, but they think that the Sumerians even used it over 4,000 years ago. So it's a very ancient you know, it's a very ancient type of glue. It became really popular in instrument making in the 1500s, 1600s. But I do actually believe that maybe some of the earlier gambas and rebecks may have also been glued with hide glue. What's amazing about those instruments, the joints, some of those joints have held for close to 450 years or more. Which is just crazy. One of the earliest violins is from the mid-1500s, so that would be at least 465 years, if not 470, but maybe 500 years, that instruments have stayed glued, which is just amazing. So it's a pretty, it's a well-proven glue. I've been using hide glue my entire career. I use it to glue cracks. They're very firmly glued together. The join it's not quite as strong as the join of the timber itself, like the cellulite join of the wood itself, but it gets very close. I mean, I do the reinforcing cleats that I put on cracks to make sure that it stays glued. Interestingly enough, they started making big glue factories in the late 1800s, and as far as I know, a lot of glue was actually used to make the early airplanes, which is crazy. One problem, and they also use it in bookmaking, there is a problem that apparently certain insects actually see the nutritional value in the glue and can start eating away at things. And so I think weren't the old biplanes like put together with some kind of cloth or something like that? It's possible. I'm not quite sure, but I know there was glue used in aeroplane making at some point around the First World War, I believe. So that's just incredible, like it has such a long history. So why, when they've brought out all these modern glues that are very strong, do I personally still strongly believe in using hide glue? And there's a very good reason. The gluing is reversible. So it's quite easy to reverse the gluing process. So when we open instruments, we can split them open.
Oh my God, you're kidding me.
But you can also, using humidity and steam, you can actually, if you soak like glued cracks, you can actually get them apart again, which is really wonderful. Now that is not possible if you use a two-part glue like an epoxy resin.
Epoxy will hold forever.
To dissolve that again once it's set is very, very difficult. And then there is PVA glue.
I think I should glue my violin together with that.
And then there's cyanoacrylate, which is super glue.
I can glue this crack with super glue.
So the PVA glue doesn't soak easily either. But when you apply vinegar and hot water, and I think you can also use some acetone, you can actually remove it, but you are actually really endangering the joins, the adjoining wood, because you do have to work quite hard to get that glue off. You have to use do a lot of rubbing. Yeah, the joints around and the varnish and everything around the crack will actually get damaged when you try and remove the glue again. Same, epoxy resin is really hard to remove, and so is super glue. Whereas the hide glue is very easy to remove. So I actually worked on a very, an Italian instrument made by quite a famous maker, which should be worth well over $100,000, where an Australian amateur maker had actually used PVA glue to glue at least 50 cracks. The repair I think it took about 2 years to complete, and the thing that took the longest was trying to remove the old glue. It was horrendous. It's just horrible. It was such an amateur job, and I do still come across that every now and then. And some new factory-made instruments actually use PVA glue as well that comes apart after a few years. Same with like epoxy glue or araldite or glues like that. The other thing with epoxy resin, for example, so epoxy resin, it's what holds fiberglass together and some carbon fiber products. I have seen old fiberglass boats, and the epoxy resin doesn't do very well with UV light. So after, it might last a while, it might last 30 years, it might last 40 years, but it won't last 200 years or 100 years or 400 years. Same with the PVA glue. So I've seen violin necks being glued with PVA glue, and they come out after a while. They don't like the constant tension. They don't work well with constant tension. It's good if you reinforce it, like for furniture, for example, you reinforce it with a screw or something like that, but it won't hold on to constant tension. It'll just very slowly let go. Cyanoacrylate, which is super glue, was originally invented for soldiers in Vietnam to glue up their, their injuries. So if they had a cut or something like that in the jungle, that's very dangerous because there's a lot of bacteria in the jungle. So they needed to close these cuts quickly. So they developed cyanoacrylate or super glue to glue these wounds together. It also works on timber, and on cheap instruments I have occasionally used it because I know those instruments won't be used for any longer than 15, maybe 20 years. But again, I don't know how long that glue will last. Why would I use a glue like a modern glue that hasn't proven itself? Like hide glue has proved its worth for over, in some instances, over 500 years. So when I glue something on a violin, I know it's good until 2520. When no one will probably remember, a lot of the things that have been made or built, or, IKEA furniture would, IKEA furniture and a lot of the modern stuff just, that won't even last 5 years, will have long been turned into landfilled or recycled. The stuff that I glued will still be holding. So I'm happy with that. I know it works well. It's proven itself. The great thing is I can reverse it. So if for some reason something needs to be repaired, I'll be able to reverse it without really damaging the instrument very much. So that's why I use hide glue. And I won't use a lot of the modern glues. I will use modern glues for the very occasional repairs, for more temporary things, like things that don't matter. For example, the spreader wedge on a bow, which is the end wedge down the bottom. I use a PVA glue because you've got to be able to take that off fairly easily. And I will use some of these glues on bow tips and things like that as well, because hide glue just doesn't work well, because the bow timber has an oil content. But generally, I use the glue that's proven itself for over 4,000 years, and that's why I use hide glue. Anyway, I hope that gives you a bit more into an insight into one of the materials I use as a violin maker. This question gets asked a lot. Also, if you're an amateur maker, please don't use all the other modern crappy glues that are going to make life hard for violin makers. Use the stuff that's proven, that's hide glue. You can get cold hide glue as well, which is called Titebond, I believe. But they put urea in there, which is a chemical that allows it to stay soft for longer. However, urea will actually start breaking down the glue after a while. So it also hasn't necessarily proven itself. So hot glue is just straight collagen. You heat it up, use it, and it lasts for, it can last for over 500 years. Anyway, hope that helps you guys. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, hit the little bell if just to make sure you get my notifications, because I try and publish a video every week. Keep making beautiful music, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!